it's time for us to move into active testing, right? So how do you move to active testing? How do you navigate to active testing? There's a link all the way to the top of the no-name platform. So let's select it, and here we go. And the version of active testing we're currently using is 293, all the way to the bottom left, right? It's all the way to the bottom left. I don't know whether I can make it a little larger. Here it is, 293. Okay. All right. Um, there are a set of settings, right? Again, the splash screen gives you access to the uh, prompt us actually to use an application or use some of the vulnerability labs. Vulnerability labs are pretty much use cases, vampy, crappy, and so on, that you can actually start using from the get-go without you having to create an API, right? We're not following that paradigm. We want to use our own API that is easily understood with tons of logs, so we're able to understand active testing. And it's not as big as Vampy or Crappy, right? Those are much larger applications as compared to the Flights app that you and I are using. Now, in the previous section, I talked about the roles, right? I talked about the roles specifically to active testing. These roles control what is it you can do with the settings, the active testing settings. There's two set of settings. There's the active testing settings, and there are the application specific settings. As soon as we create an application, I'll show you the application specific settings. But for the purpose of those roles that we've seen earlier on inside the no-name platform, they control all of these, right? So if you're an administrator, you can come in here, you can do anything you like at global level. For example, you come in here, create a new integration, you can create a new set of workers, and so on. If you're just a reader, then you can only view all the information in here. Keep that in mind. Okay, let's start with test profiles. There's 13 profiles, and by default, this page lists 10. So let's switch to 100 just to see everything. Every single one of these profiles controls the types of tests that will execute against your application. Okay, and it's a combination between different no-name tests and zap tests. Zap tests, they're easily understood, right? These are tests that are provided by the Zap tool, which is provided by OWASP, right? The no-name tests are built specifically by no-name in order to test API security vulnerabilities. That's their only job. Okay. Now, for our purpose, we're going to make use of the no-name test. Why? Because they only include 53 no-name tests, and I'm telling you right now, the Zap tests are quite slow to execute. Right? No-name tests are lightning fast, right? As compared to the Zap tools. It's still going to take us a few seconds to complete them, but nonetheless, much faster. Okay. If you select any one of these tests, the screen is going to render now all the tests across the board. If you keep scrolling down, right, and you're going to see pretty much the tests that are part of this specific profile by this check mark. And again, there's only 25 out of 174. So if you switch to 200, for example, right, now you're going to see all the tests, including the Zap tests, right? All the Zap tests are unchecked, right, because they're not part of this profile. Again, you can choose to update it. I wouldn't update it if I were you. Instead, I'm going to be creating a brand new profile, right? Cancel. You don't have to modify anything, right? But you definitely can create a new profile, one that meets your needs. Okay. All right, let me go back to 100. Here we go. So these are your no-name. These are your tests, pretty much. The no-name tests include only tests that are there specific for your APIs, built by us, no-name security professionals and researchers. Okay. All right. Integrations. It's exactly what it says it is, right? So you integrate with third-party tools like Jira, Slack, email, so that you can communicate the findings of active testing to the rest of the organization using different tools and so on. Workers. All right, a worker is the piece of machinery of active testing, or the component of active testing that is responsible for running the scans, right? Running the scans. That's what a worker does. Okay. Now, generally speaking, this worker, the default worker, is enough. The only time this is not enough is if you are if your APIs are behind firewalls. And the SaaS active worker, this is a SaaS active worker or an on-premise active worker, think of it any way you like, but if you have a SaaS active testing installation, you want to give the ability to active worker to see all the APIs, right? Because it will be making calls to the APIs, right? Active testing is going to be making calls to the APIs, right? So if active testing is not able to see the APIs because of firewalls, because your developers are implementing the APIs behind firewalls, behind the security, who knows, right? Then active testing is not able to see all that information, see those APIs. The only alternative is to install a remote worker. And a remote worker is going to be within your intranet, but still having visibility to the SaaS installation of active testing, so that they are able, active worker that is able to send requests to your developers' APIs. Okay. So in essence, you're supporting a hybrid installation of active testing by installing active worker. Keep that in mind. Okay. And at some point, if you follow this type of hybrid deployment, you may have more than one in here. Okay. So that's what workers are. The last thing I would like to talk about is the API docs. Pretty much everything you can do from the user interface, you can actually replicate it using APIs. There is a lot of interest for just forgoing the user interface and doing everything from, I don't know, from a CI/CD pipeline. I don't know, create an application. Let's start running tests and so on. Well, post application is the API that's going to give you the ability to create your application. All right. Here it is. Here's the inputs. Here's the type of request body you expect. Here's the type of response you expect, and so on. So you can come in here and inspect the different APIs available to you so you can get your job done. Okay, so we don't need this tab anymore. So that's it, pretty much. This is the application, the active level, the active testing level settings, because there are application level settings as well. Okay, for the time being, section done.